Welcome to The Blueprint, where we seek out individuals that are built to be the best, giving us tips and tools to excel, taking us to the next level of growth.
So, Brittany, you have kind of done some additional research for us, particularly when it pertains to how to form a habit and how to make it kind of like a lifelong lifestyle change, right? And I think this stemmed a lot from our conversation that we had before about rituals versus habits and kind of the stages that maybe trying to form a habit would go into. So with that, I turn it over to you.
Thanks, Devin. So in the past, we've talked a lot about habits and forming good habits, getting rid of bad habits, some of the methods that we've used to work on these habits. And from our conversations, we know that it takes 30 days to really create the habit. But what happens after? I'm sure you guys all know someone. I am that someone who has started something, but eventually it kind of trails off and I forget that I even really wanted to start this habit. A perfect example kind of goes back to our New Year's conversation about resolutions and Quitter's Day, which is the third Friday of January, where everyone's resolutions kind of go out the window. Gyms become empty again. But we know about the Quitter's Day, and we know that it takes 30 days to create a habit. But what happens after that? How do you get that habit to stick? So in some of my research, some books that I've read, I've heard a lot about a 30, 60, 90, and I made that name up. I don't think that that's actually what it's called. But the first 30 days is really learning to form your habit, and you're motivated for it. You're really trying for it, and you're really trying to get that habit to become a part of your life. The next 30 days is really getting into the swing of it, and now you've got some momentum there. And then those last 30 days that lead up to the 90 days is where it's tweaked and you've got it to perfection, and that's when it becomes a lifestyle. So after 90 days, that habit that you have applied your rituals to becomes your lifestyle. So my question for you guys is, outside of our careers, how can we keep ourselves motivated for 90 days to make that lifestyle change?
I think the key thing there is motivated. That gets a little tricky, right? I mean, for me, I think too, it's going to depend on what it is. Like, I think anything I look at, it's like I try to build in like the short term kind of like reward system like we talked about before, right? So if I'm trying to do something everyday healthy, or trying to do something that's a practice every day, how do I kind of reward myself for that? I mean, that helps motivate me, but I think also it's I don't know, different people have it differently. You could look at a calendar, right? I think we talked about that before. It's just simply putting like wins and losses on the calendar and seeing how many times you can string those together. Those are some things that help me.
Yeah, I think seeing it out is definitely helpful. Like seeing your progress and seeing that you're doing it consistently, that's definitely helpful. And then of course giving yourself a little prize when you hit little milestones.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think you need to recognize the success along the way. So if there is, a special treat or, some way of like rewarding yourself, I think that helps keep you motivated, especially if it's a tough one, like it's something you need to do, but you're not 100% committed. You've got to find some opportunities to keep the end goal in sight, maybe, the why you're doing this, and So a combination of reflection and reward system, I think.
So Rita, you just led me to my next little point, which is finding your why. I want to come back to that, but I do want to kind of turn to Fatima, and I'm sorry for throwing you on the spot, but you had mentioned previously that you had started a habit because you needed a lifestyle change. So can you maybe provide some examples of some things that helped keep you motivated in your health journey, we'll call it?
Yeah, thank you, Brittany. Absolutely. Well, for me, what works is kind of stay accountable with myself and acknowledging sometimes what I have missed, my routine, right? So I can go back on track. And it's a matter of trying to also not to punish myself, because otherwise I'm not enjoying the process. So I have to enjoy the process and recognize sometimes I'm not totally okay. I have too much work or I have too many personal stuff going on. So I need to take a break, and I might miss a couple of days, but then I will go back when I feel okay. So it's a matter of persistence and consistency, but it's also understanding your how you are, your feelings, and based on that, keep adjusting yourself and not punishing yourself. Like, okay, you didn't do this today. And then start with all of those negative thinkings and thoughts that will only do harm, and it's not going to do anything well for you to keep going. So that's something that it's in line what you were saying, like about rewards, but rewards also comes with positive thoughts that you feed in on a daily basis. So that's something that helps me. And I like when people start noticing changes, because I really like positive reinforcement. So that keeps me going as well. So making sure that, if somebody else notices it, so it's because it's working.
I love that. And so I want to kind of go off of, you mentioned, some days you're not perfect, right? And my own example, silly, when it comes to housework, right? I'll look at the clock and I'll see, okay, it's 3:44. I'm going to vacuum my house at 4 o'clock. I look at the clock again, it's 4:03. I'm going to vacuum my house at 5 o'clock. And I just keep putting it off. But that's because, I'm putting it in my head that it's something that, like, I can't do it right now because it's not, when I set it for, it's not following the plan that I set for myself, and I just keep procrastinating and putting it off. But you're absolutely right. You're not going to hit 100% all of the time. We're going to maybe hit 80% of the time, right? That goes back to another one of our conversations. But it's all about sticking with it, consistency, just like you said. Now I want to go back to something that Rita said. Rita, you said your why, right? Can you go off a little bit on what you mean by finding your why?
Yeah, I think when you're looking at, creating a new habit, and, we could pick your vacuuming the house or just doing housework in general. It's not obviously the housework that's the reason you want to do it. But the end goal would be maybe you feel more serene or comfortable when you're in an uncluttered environment. So I think you need to, in part, really dig deep and think about it and picture yourself in the environment that you want, so that as you outline what habits you want to do, for example, I'm going to vacuum every other day. It's not the vacuuming part. And it's not even just getting that done. It's the combination of maybe some additional steps that are small, incremental, but they get you to your end goal. You want a clean, serene environment. You feel more able to, think more clearly. That might be a why you're doing some of those houseworking chores. You can relate it to health, or just, if you're looking at exercise, maybe you want to introduce more or different outlets, bicycling or swimming, or, whatever it is. You can look at your end goal. Why is it you want to achieve that habit, or, set it into something that becomes a habit.
So you mean to tell me?
Guys...
Oh, sorry, Devin, go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, so you mean to tell me that looking good for summer is not a good enough why to exercise?
I think if it's applicable to you, I mean, I might not care, but somebody else might,
At the beach in a bikini, Brittany, that might be a why.
Yeah, I mean, I think the why, even though that maybe the habit you're trying to form is the same as somebody else, I think the why has to be personal, right? And I'm not really going to care if I'm not trying to get healthy because I want to look good on the beach. I'm trying to get healthy because whatever else my why is, whatever that could be. Maybe it's longevity, maybe it's an event coming up or something. I think everyone's why has to be different. But I think too, you need to know the why before you start trying to form the habit. And the why can change, though. I think that's the other thing too, is the why. Maybe you start off and the why is one thing, but then you make a lot of progress and your why is something completely different. I think it's just evaluating that is important along the way, because if you lose sight of the why, or it's no longer applicable, you lose momentum. Which when we look at it, and I'll keep with the term 30, 60, 90, because it's the term we use for a lot of things, Brittany. So I know you said you don't call it that, but I mean that's perfect anyways, right? How many of you actually map out, do you think that the whys and the rewards are different in the first 30 days versus 60 or 90, I guess?
I want to give someone else the option to answer. Yeah. Marlon, you just unmuted.
No, because I've been thinking about the first question, not to deviate, right, with the 30, 60, 90, but first question that was asked earlier is, what would you do if you're not motivated every day? And I think with knowing what your why is, or what that is, sometimes you really don't have to be motivated, you have to be disciplined. If you want that why enough, sometimes you have to power through them. And maybe that's where your why or your goal that keeps you motivated is different in your 30 and 60, 90, because we try to give ourselves some reward, incremental reward to keep us going. Remember, we talked about the other session where if you want to challenge yourself, don't challenge yourself too far out, that your ultimate why might be a year or two from now. But you could set up mini targets or goals that's just challenging enough that it's not too hard, but also not too easy. That way, when you achieve it, it gets you to your next goal. So that would be your 30, your 60, your 90. You set small whys in between the bigger picture, which is for example, in that case, to be healthy, or to live longer, to have more time with your family. That's the bigger why. But also, right, there could be short-term goals that you can set for yourself, keep you motivated. And again, understand that sometimes you don't have to be motivated, you just have to do it. And that's kind of where discipline comes in some parts of it. But a way to hack that is, again, make it enjoyable in the process and make it more that you're more motivated to do it. Because sometimes the motivation is too far out that, it takes too much effort, and you ask yourself, is it worth it? But again, if you have small targets, I think that's where 30, 60, 90 comes in handy.
Yeah, at the same time, I mean, I don't know if anyone's ever had their why and it was just really too easy, and then you just stopped, right? So I'll give an example. I wanted to, and you know, I know some might relate to it, but I wanted to be a better swimmer because I wanted to go surfing with my son. And you know, I had surfed when I was younger, but I took him out, and we were gonna go surfing. So I put him in swim lessons, and I started swimming myself, right? But like, I wanted to be better overall at swimming, and the why was too close, right? So like, we ended up going surfing, and I haven't swam since. But the thing is like, I really wanted to be a better swimmer, not just for that one event, but like for continual. But the why was so close and so fast that I didn't have anything progressively after that, right? So essentially, I only gave myself like a 30-day window. And that's why I was asking, like, what have you guys done to like set up your whys as you go through it? Do you think about it ahead of time? You say, okay, well, this is what I want to achieve in 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days. Versus, you know, hey, this is what I'm trying to achieve, because when, you know, what you want to achieve is so easy and so quick, then what do you do?
So I can kind of, I do change my goals or my motivations. I'm one of those people that sometimes I don't like to say what I'm working on, because sometimes I think like ill wishes, but I'm gonna reveal it here. I'm in the process.
That's part of accountability to the group, Brittany. Come on with it. It's pure accountability, not pure, but pure accountability. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people right now, 6 people, including yourself.
All right. So I'm in the process of trying to save for a home. And as someone who has never saved a penny in my life, it's been very, very difficult. Some of you know, I'm a single mom living in Florida of all places. So it's not been easy. And I had to that's my ultimate goal, right? Is to buy a home. But there are steps that had to come first. When I moved to Florida from Connecticut, I had a ton of debt and my credit was shot. And so my first goal was to, number 1, pay off all of my debt. And once I did that, of course, credit went where it, should be, kind of. But then the next step, of course, is actually saving. And it's not easy, but I give myself maybe not every month, but every few months, I give myself a little cheat. So if I can save X amount in these next 6 weeks, I'm going to go buy myself the new bathroom set that I'm going to use in my house. If I can save X amount in the following 6 weeks, I'm going to get a carpet cleaner, things like that. So I'm treating myself to things that I know I will use in my new house to keep me motivated to get the new house, because I'm not touching this stuff. I'm just purchasing it, putting it in my storage unit, and holding on until that ultimate goal at the end of the day comes true. So
it's like a physical positive affirmation for you, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're not just saying I am a homeowner, you're like literally going and buying the product.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's
what I
awesome.
want to kind of ask a little bit though is, Brittany, are you trying with that? Are you trying to form habits along the way, or are we just trying to achieve goals?
So the initial habit was actually saving my money. And it was, spending is a bad habit. And it's hard to stop. It's I don't want to compare it to some other addiction types, I guess you could call it, but spending money is kind of like that. And if you get that instant that gratification, you're going to keep doing it. And so I think the purchase of the home isn't quite the habit, it's just the ultimate goal, but all of the little steps in between that I'm taking for that ultimate goal to come to fruition, those are the habits that have kind of been changed to make the goal possible.
Right. So the home is the why, right? And that's what I was kind of getting at earlier, though. So the home's the why, and you're trying to form these habits, and with the home is kind of the motivating factor, right? But once you hit that and you get the home, what keeps your habits from being and staying good habits to just going back to old habits or bad habits because you have already achieved your why?
I'm so glad you asked that, Devin.
Fantastic. I'm interested.
Because I know, being realistic, right? The house isn't going to be everything that I wanted. And I don't know what it's called. I think it's called a bay window. I call it a princess window. I need to save up to be able to renovate to include that. I need to be able to, save up for the pool and then the puppy, there's more than just the house that comes after the house, but I have to do that first. It's just
have any of you guys ever done, I'm just going to throw it out here, it might be even completely different topic or respond to a different topic, but have any of you ever done like an idea board or a dream board when trying to motivate yourself for a habit?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Because it seems like you got quite the dream board going already, Brittany, which is awesome.
It's like a vision wall.
Love it, Brittany.
So I know for the sake of time, I don't know if I can kind of move on to the other part that I kind of wanted to talk about, or if we want to hold off on that for another time. But it's kind of taking so it's taking that 30, 60, 90, and then maybe we've talked about how we've applied it to our personal lives. But how do you guys think that it might also benefit us in our professional lives as well? How can we apply that 30, 60, 90 in terms of our careers?
I think you should call in the new person.
That's a great idea. Julius.
That's a pretty interesting question, actually, Brittany. And I was thinking hard in terms of the prior question that was asked, because it's kind of, in a way, personally, like for someone who's not really certain of the goal, right? Because you're entering into a new role similar to mine just recently. I think in terms of forming that 30, 60, and 90 habit, it is pretty important, because that's how also you're able to influence the rest of the group, right? In terms of the goal that you're wanting to achieve. How to do it is something that I'm honestly still trying to envision, to get into. Currently, I'm still getting best practices, with the help of my managers and Devin, currently exposing me over to different leaders. I am getting bits of pieces here and there in terms of how they do it, and piecing them together. I guess that's the most important thing there, that you have resources that you can leverage in order for you to form that habit, in order for you to be able to map out as to what are you supposed to do day on day, up until you're able to create the drawing board that you guys were referencing to, as to how you're gonna do it on the first 30 days. Then it becomes to what's your plan for the next 60 days, up until you're able to continuously do it and then start influencing the rest of the group. That's my thought towards that.
Yeah, I think so. Coming from me, right? I'm newer. I'm glad I'm not the newbie anymore. But it is, when you come in to a new program or a new business, a new company, even, you spend much time trying to find your bearings, right? But I think even though we are new, or the process, goal, what have you, is new to us, I think it's still important to come up with those mini goals. So maybe in the first 30 days, it's I'm going to shadow every account manager that I can, and I've joined lots of Rita's meetings. When I first started, I joined a ton of them. So I'm going to join as many meetings as I can within the next 30 days of other account managers so that I can absorb everything. Maybe the next 60 days, I'm going to, I don't know, continue to join as many meetings as possible, but I also want to see what I can do to help my team transform, right? There's a reason we're all in the positions that we're in. We have the knowledge and the skill to be able to bring value to our teams, and so we just kind of have to plan it out. What does our team need? How can I help them? And plan it out. So if your team is maybe struggling with, I don't even know, something, right? They're struggling with something. Maybe we have an idea and we can plan it out. Marlon, you sounded like you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's one way to do it. Or another is you take advantage of the fact that you don't know what's out there. So like in a vacuum, think about what you want to do personally, not knowing if it's going to be hard, not knowing if it's going to be easy. Just like, what do you want to do in the 90 days? And kind of use that as your big whys. And you may adjust that, right? As you learn more, and you might eventually think that, well, maybe I set myself a goal too high, but not knowing what you're really getting into, not knowing what's in the 90 days, that kind of gives you kind of a fearless perspective that since nobody told you it was hard, you just did it anyway. And that's kind of, another way to look at it, and a great way to start, because I think in that, you'll be motivated to just do that thing. So there's many ways to go around adjusting to a new role, but I think that one, is also as interesting as the other one that Brittany just mentioned, which is definitely a more strategic way to do it. But just vision-wise, what do you want to do? Just doesn't matter if you can actually do it or not.
Marlon, I love what you said. And this is something that I try to live by, right? It's okay to be scared. Do it anyways. So that it just reminded me. So yes.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I think we had some really good discussions today. I appreciate you guys all providing your own insights into your own 30, 60, 90s. Julius, I'm sure they'll come to you.
For sure.
Is there anything anyone would like to add? Any final thoughts today? All right. Well, if not, I appreciate everyone, and we'll talk next time. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
For content suggestions, please reach out to The Blueprint at teleperformance.com.